Good morning. I'm Jim Brumfield. I am the Public Relations Manager for Chevrolet Performance Vehicles and Motorsports. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us here today, both here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and for those of you who are viewing this live online. Before we get started, I'd like to quickly introduce members of our trackside communications team. Nancy Wager is here. She's in the back. Judy Kuba-Dominic is here. Somewhere back there, the lights. Sam Brown and Jessica Stroop. If you need any help this afternoon, throughout the weekend, those are the people to definitely see. At the end of this presentation, we will have time for some questions, and for those of you who are participating online, you can send your questions to Nancy Wager at nmwager@aol.com, and that's an address that we will put up also later on in the presentation. In addition, all the press materials from this program will be available at media.chevrolet.com. So with that, it is time to get things started, and it is my pleasure to introduce the Vice President of Performance Vehicles and Motorsports, Jim Campbell.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Jim, thank you, and it's great to be with you this morning. Thank you for joining us here at Indianapolis, and for those of you online that have tuned in. We are looking forward to the Kroger Super Weekend. Especially excited because it's the first time that Grand Am Road Racing Series will be running here at the Brickyard. And Chevrolet will be participating in every one of the races this weekend, all four. In fact, we'll be road racing on Friday at the inaugural Brickyard Grand Prix with our Corvette Daytona prototype and the Camaro GT. And in the Brickyard Sports Car Challenge with the Camaro GS. We'll also be racing Saturday in the inaugural Nationwide Indiana 250. And of course on Sunday, the NASCAR Cup event here at the Brickyard. It's going to be an exciting action-packed weekend, and we can't wait. We have several special guests with us today. I'd like to make a few introductions from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jeff Belskis, President and CEO, is here. Jeff, thank you for having us. Also, Mike Redlick, Senior VP of Sales and Marketing, is here, along with Mel Harder and Doug Bowles from the team. From NASCAR, Mike Helton is here, President of NASCAR. Mike, thank you for being here. Steve O'Donnell, Senior VP of Racing Operations. I saw Robin Pemberton, Vice President of Competition. John Darby, Managing Director of Competition. And Joe Balish, the Nationwide Series Director. Now from Grand Am, Richard Buck, Managing Director of Competition, is here. And Mark Graffoff, Managing Director of Racing Operations. Now we're also pleased to have a number of members of our Chevrolet Nationwide teams here from JR Motorsports. Kelly Earnhardt Miller, co-owner of JR Motorsports. Kelly, thank you for being here with us. Tony Uri Jr. is here, crew chief, and Dana Patrick and Cole Witt are here as well, along with many others from JR Motorsports. Thank you for being with us this morning. From Richard Childress Racing, Richard Childress is here, along with Tori Galida, Chief Operating Officer, and Ernie Cope, crew chief, along with drivers Elliott Sadler, Austin Dillon, and Ty Dillon. From Turner Motorsports, Steve Turner's here, Harry Scott, owner of the 30 car, James Busher and Justin Allgaier here, drivers of the 30 and 31 cars. And from ML Motorsports, I saw her here just a few minutes ago, and Team 70, Joanna Long is here. Joanna, great to have you. And from the competition side of our team at Chevrolet, right here in the front row, the guy that leads our competition side for Chevrolet Racing is Mark Kent. And also Pat Suey, who leads our oval track effort. They'll be coming up in a little bit as well. From marketing team, Terry Dolan and Jeff Chu are here. Just pleased to have everybody here. Obviously, racing and performance are certainly part of Chevrolet's DNA. You know, our co-founder, Louis Chevrolet, was a self-taught engineer. He was a car guy, but most of all, he was a racer. And Louis Chevrolet, along with his brothers, Arthur and Gaston, raced together. And in fact, at the very first race here at Indianapolis, Arthur raced in that inaugural race in 1911. So Indy was kind of the proving ground, so it's always great to be back in Indianapolis. Chevrolet also has a very long and rich history with NASCAR. Take a look at this. The first official win for Chevrolet in NASCAR came when Fonty Flock won at the Columbia Speedway in South Carolina, driving a 55 Chevy. And look at this, he won $1,000. Pretty cool. You know, our history with NASCAR here at Indy began when young Jeff Gordon won the inaugural Brickyard 400, of course, in 1994. Now, Chevrolet's strength in engineering, combined with very strong teams and drivers, have led to over 100 years of victories, including 696 Sprint Cup wins and 368 nationwide wins. That's a big number combined. And the momentum continues this year in 2012. We're winning races in key series, as you see on this chart. Currently leading at this point in the season in the manufacturer standings in every one of them. And we have multiple drivers in the top 10 at this point in the season. And we're proud of all the Chevy teams and drivers and their contributions to our on-track success. Now, I know the teams are looking forward to competing here this weekend, the Super Weekend at the Brickyard. And Chevrolet is proud to be pacing 3 races here at the Speedway this weekend. And to help reveal these 3 new pace cars, I'd like to welcome Jeff Belskis, President and CEO of the Speedway. He's going to come up and make a couple comments. Jeff, come on up. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you, Jim. Welcome everyone to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's good to see everyone here today. This is such an exciting time for us, and it's the 19th running of the Sprint Cup event here, but of course it's the first time for Grand Am and Nationwide. It's really going to be a great weekend of racing. As you heard from Jim, we have such a long, storied relationship with Chevrolet. Thank you to Chevrolet and all you do to support our events, and you've been with us since the beginning of the Brickyard 400 in 1994 and of course the Indianapolis 500, as you mentioned. So we're excited to see these cars unveiled today, and these cars and excited to see the action out on the track. So thank you very much.
All right, Jeff, thanks for those comments. Always great to be here at Indy, and you and your team just do a terrific job. And what they're going to do this weekend to go from a road race to the ovals, it's truly incredible, and we're looking forward to it. Now let's take a look at some pace cars. Jeff, I'd like to ask you to come on back up, if you would, to the middle car. And also, I'd like to bring up Mike Helton, President of NASCAR, to join Jeff at that middle car. I'd also like to have Mr. Cope from the Grand Am Series, along with Jeff Chu, up here at the car to my right, if you would, please. And also Joe Balish and Terry Dolan on the car at the far end, if you would. And who else is here from the Grand Am Series? Why don't you come on up. Welcome. Well, guys and gals, here's what we're going to do. On 3, we're going to reveal all 3 of the pace cars. This is our first news of the day for the journalists. So 1, 2, 3, let's pull them back. And there they are, all 3 pace cars. If you guys would just come to the front of the car, if our guys would come right to the fronts of the cars, Mike and the guys would just come up to the front bumper, if you would, of both cars, and we're just going to get a couple quick pictures here for our journalists, and for those of you online, you can take a look at our guests here that unveiled them. I think we got our shots. Gentlemen, thank you very much for helping us reveal the cars. So if you grab a seat, and we'll continue on. Thank you so much. Well, as you take a look at these pace cars, what a collection. The car to my right and just to the left of the stage is the Camaro ZL1. This is going to pace the Brickyard Grand Prix. It's the 8th time Camaro is paced here at Indy. The ZL1 is an incredible piece. 6.2-liter aluminum V8, Eaton supercharger, 580 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds, top speed, 184 miles per hour. And it has the advanced technology of magnetic ride, which is our advanced suspension system. Fantastic system. Now next to that, pacing the 19th running of the Sprint Cup race here on Sunday, is the 60th anniversary Corvette Z06. Now the Corvette Z06, 7th time Corvette actually overall has paced the Brickyard 400. This particular car, the Z06, is incredible. Lightweight aluminum frame. So the frame you don't see, lightweight aluminum. It has a 427 cubic inch aluminum V8, 505 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. So horsepower combined with lower mass really creates incredible performance. Top speed, 198 miles an hour. Ceramic Brembo brakes. Of course, it has the 60th anniversary graphic package on it as we celebrate Corvette's 60th year in the market. The honorary Brickyard 400 driver is the award-winning actor and producer Ron Howard. He is going to have a great time here at the Speedway pacing this race. And also, hopefully, a great time driving that Corvette Z06. Now, finally, the Nationwide Indiana 250 will be paced by this red Camaro SS with a 6.2-liter aluminum V8, 426 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.7 seconds, top speed 155 miles an hour. Now, what you see here with all 3 of these pace cars, they're essentially stock cars right off the showroom. The only thing we do is we modify it for safety. We put some special seat belts in, fire extinguishers, the safety lights, and a few of the extra kind of decals, if you will. Otherwise, these are stock Camaros and Corvettes. So it's pretty exciting to be doing that. We're proud to be the official pace car here for these races. Now, I'd like to introduce a good friend of mine, Russ Clark. He's the marketing director for Chevrolet Performance Cars, who's going to provide you with a quick update on what's happening at Chevrolet. Russ, come on up.
Thanks, Jim. As you know, one of the big benefits of racing is that it allows us to connect to our fans' passion for performance all over the world. So as we compete on racetracks all around the globe, we also compete in the marketplace as a global brand. And last year we sold 4.7 million Chevrolets around the world in over 140 countries. Now what that translates into is somewhere in the world we're delivering a new Chevrolet to a great happy customer every 6.4 seconds. Now here in the U.S., Chevrolet was the #1 passenger car brand last year and also the #1 sports car brand. And one of the drivers of that leadership for Chevrolet is Camaro. Now this is a nameplate with 5 generations of heritage that dates back to 1967. Now as you know, Camaro was out of the market for a few years, but the passion lived on. So we brought Camaro back. And we did it with a plan to introduce, over time, a portfolio of Camaros. So we started with the Coupe and the SS in 2009, and in our first full year of production, we outsold the previous segment leader. We were #1 again in 2011 when we introduced the Camaro convertible. And through June this year, we're leading again with thanks to great new products like this technology-packed Camaro ZL1 that Jim mentioned. So while we're #1, we're still not done introducing new Camaro models and performance packages. And new for 2013, there's the ZL1 convertible. That's the most powerful convertible Chevrolet has ever built. And there's also a special part from our performance parts catalog. It's actually a whole car. It's called the Copo Camaro, and it's offered as a specialty limited edition vehicle for amateur drag racers. And last but not least, we're introducing this year the track-ready Camaro SS1LE. And it's parked right over there, and it's a carefully tuned, competition-ready road course instrument. So that's a little summary of where Camaro is today, and we're still not done. So I'd like to bring Jim back up to talk about our next steps. Thanks.
Thank you, Russ.
Yep.
Thanks, Russ. I mean, what an incredible lineup that Russ just went through. Camaro introduced the Coupe, then the SS, then the convertible. The ZL1 that I talked about is an incredible, incredible entry for Camaro. The track-ready 1LE, the Copo Camaro out of our performance parts catalog, and then the Camaro GS race car that will compete this weekend in the Continental Tire Series race right here in Indy, along with the Camaro GT race car that will compete in the Rolex Series. I can turn this one on here. There we go. It's about linking really performance of cars and Camaros on the street to the performance on the track. That's the key, is linking them together. But as Russ said, we're still not done. There's one more. So now I'd like to ask Mike Helton, Joe Balish, and Pat Suey, our group manager of Oval Track Racing, to join Russ Clark up here to my left and your right for a special reveal. And so for the next news of the day, gentlemen, if you would, let's remove the silks right now. And we're very pleased to introduce the 2013 Nationwide Series Chevy Camaro race car. If I could have you gentlemen just gather around the race car, if you would. Pat, Sue, if you go over with Russ Clark, guys, stay up there. We're going to get a couple pictures. And so Mike and Joe, there you go. And then Pat and Russ, a few pictures. For those of you online, hope you have a great view of this awesome race car. We're so proud to bring it here today to reveal at Indianapolis Motor Speedway with our friends from NASCAR as well as our nationwide teams. Okay, guys, big smiles for a final picture, and I think we're ready to go. Thank you, gentlemen. Well, there's a race car. It's a great looking race car. We put it side by side with our production Camaro SS. You can clearly see that up front, this race car has the classic Camaro styling cues, the deep recessed grille, the unique hood with the power bulge, dual port grille appearance, and the trademark halo light rings, and of course, the Chevy bow tie. Now, this car was developed by our Chevrolet performance engineers and our aerodynamic engineers working with partners in the Nationwide Series. And special thanks to Richard Childress Racing for all the work that you and your team did with our team to develop this along with the other Nationwide teams. The whole idea was to deliver a race car that had great on-track balance and optimized aero performance in the areas of drag and downforce. So we'd like to thank also NASCAR for working with us for their contributions and support during the development and submission process. Right now I'd like to bring up Mike Helton, President of NASCAR, to say a few words. Mike? Let's give Mike a hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We know that NASCAR fans like cars, and I'm like a lot of our fans who are a bit of a car guy. So this is an exciting moment for us, and to have the Camaro now in the Nationwide against the other pony cars is kind of fun for an old guy too, to watch the racing as it will be starting in 2013. So Jim, thank you very much from your group for the effort. Robin Pemberton on our side led the relationship with all the OEMs, but particularly with Chevrolet as we developed or as they developed this race car for the Nationwide Series, and we're very proud of that. And Jeff Belskis, thank you for hosting us this weekend. It's an exciting triple hitter, and it'll be interesting after 19 years of learning how to get our way around. It'll be interesting tomorrow to see how we get in and out, but it'll be a lot of fun, and good luck to all the Corvette teams tomorrow and the Chevrolet teams on Saturday and Sunday. But Jim, I just again want to say thank you. We've always relied very heavily, NASCAR has since 1948, on our relationships, and one of the best ones we've got is with Chevrolet, and it's been that way for a long time. And I think the performance side of your business fits really well in our business, and we hope that we can reciprocate. So thank you very much.
Thanks for making those comments. Well, thank you, Mike, and thanks for the partnership in racing. Robin, to you and your team, thank you so much. And also Noah and Kyle from Richard Childress Racing, Kevin Bayless, Cameron Dempster from our Chevrolet team, and Shane Martin, Pat Suey, thank you for the work you guys did together. We can't wait to get this car on the racetrack. You know, overall, when you take a look at our Nationwide Chevrolet Camaro race car, you know, it really does pick up the cues from a styling perspective of this Camaro SS sitting right beside it. They both have attitude. The all-new Nationwide Chevrolet Camaro race car will see its first competition at Daytona next February 23rd. And we're looking forward to racing our crosstown rivals. Mike, you mentioned that. We can't wait. Now, I'd like to bring up Russ Clark. Mike, if you come back up, Mark Kent, and we're going to take a few of your questions here in the room here at Indianapolis. And then we're going to take some questions that get emailed from our online audience as well. Jim Brumfield will moderate, so Jim, come on up.
If you have any questions, just raise your hand. I know Jessica and Sam are out there. They've got mics, and all we ask is that you state your name and your affiliation before you ask your question. We got a question. I think that's Bob back there.
Bob Pocker, Sporting News. For Jim, I mean, all we heard was that you couldn't get the Camaro to fit into the style that you wanted to run in the Nationwide Series before this year. What changed, and what did you have to do to make it work?
Yeah. Well, as Russ Clark had said, Camaro actually was out of the market for a number of years. So when we re-entered the market with the car that you see to my left here, meaning the Camaro SS, we basically came back with an updated style. It had design cues that were clearly connected to our historical past all the way back to '67, all the way through the generations, but was really done in a very modern, contemporary way to really have a lasting effect in the market. But we had to reestablish ourselves in the regular sports segment. And so, as Russ said, through a combination of obviously the communications and advertising, but mostly the product introductions between the coupe, the SS, the convertible, and all the iterations that we talked about, We, over a course of essentially 2.5 years, almost 3 years now, have established firmly the Camaro as the #1 competitor in the regular sports segment, selling more than the Ford Mustang, more than the Challenger, more than any other in the regular sports segment. So that combined with our entry into other areas of performance with the Camaro ZL1, which is to my right, that's going to pace the race this weekend, along with the 1LE, which is a track-ready, basically enhanced suspension vehicle, which is here in the room as well. And then our competition, on the competition side, we put Camaro in the Grand Am series in both GS and GT. You put it all together, and it was about establishing leadership again for Camaro on the track and in the showroom, and we've done that. So this was the right time. You saw we introduced a Copo Camaro, which is for amateur racers, out of our parts catalog, and then we felt this was the right time now that we've established leadership to introduce in Nationwide the Camaro as our race car entry. So the Impala will be retired here at the end of this year, and we'll be racing this Camaro at Daytona next year.
Larry Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Jim, the Camaro so popular with fans, as Mike Helton had said. What about the sale of the Camaro to fans once it's introduced as a nationwide car in competition? Do you have any idea what that will do to people going out and buying Camaros?
Well, and Russ may want to jump in here. What we have found in segments like this, the sports segments, it's about product news. And so Russ went through the whole lineup of product news that keeps the enthusiasm high. Also, Chevrolet, a very big believer, obviously, since the beginning of the company in motorsports as a way to develop cars, make them better in production from what we learned on the track. And so I think that being nationwide, it's going to really continue to keep the enthusiasm high in a car that is now going into essentially its 3rd year. And what you see in the sports segment is that over 2, 3, 4 years, you can typically get a decay rate on sales. This keeps the enthusiasm high, and I think it's going to help us sell more Camaros. Russ, any other comments?
Yeah, if I can add, one of the things we did with Camaro when we brought it back into the market was we certainly wanted to expand the owner base. It has a lot of heritage and a lot of folks like Mike and I who go back to the early days. But we also bring in new generation of buyers too. So the addition of Camaro into Nationwide, again competing with its crosstown rivals, will only be a big plus and a benefit to help us as we continue to bring in more Camaros to the marketplace. And each one we bring is really got a specific purpose and a specific set of customers in mind. So this broadens that whole base and allows us to sell more Camaros and more Chevrolets in total.
And for the fans that get to the racetrack this weekend or any one of the races in the NASCAR series this season, most often Chevrolet will have a very extensive display of race cars, production cars, and all of our performance parts. So our race fans can see this race car combined with all of the production cars that we have on display here and some other race cars that are in the room as well to really put it all together and take a look at them up close and personal. So we think it's going to help us sell more cars.
Questions? Any questions? I've got one for Mark. Has this car been on track, and when does the serious testing begin?
The first answer is no, it has not been on track. The car has been totally designed in math. It was done through CAD. A lot of the aerodynamic work was done on CFD on the computer. We then went on to scale model testing in the wind tunnel, and we did some full scale stuff. But we haven't been on track, but we've worked with all of our great Chevrolet teams and identified aero targets that we think we need to be competitive. Worked with NASCAR closely to make sure that the new car met those targets. So we're very optimistic that when this does get on track next year, it'll be a winning product.
Very good. Judy, anybody? No questions? Oh, over here, Jim.
Jim Utter with the Charlotte Observer, Jim Campbell. Next year, with now the addition of the Camaro and your new Cup entry, when you go to NASCAR events or most of the motorsports events that you guys participate in, I guess you will have probably the most common relationship between what you sell and what you compete in than you have in several years. Would that not be correct?
Absolutely, and I would say across all the race series, one of the key objectives is really to get technical transfer, learnings from the track that can make our future production cars and powertrains better in a number of areas. And so across our whole portfolio, you saw in the video at the beginning, we're in a lot of different series. That's what we try to do. But having that relevance between the production car that we sell in the showroom and drive in the street and what we race on the track is something that Mike and his entire team were looking for us to help take to a new level. Of course, as an OEM, we love that. We want higher relevance, and they have been a great partner all the way through. Obviously, you see the results here today on the Nationwide. And I'm very excited, as we all are, I would say, to introduce at a later point the Chevrolet SS, which will compete in the Cup Series. And when you see the kind of the production variant and the race car, you're going to be as excited as I am, I hope, that the relevance is at a whole new level. And it's something NASCAR's asked us to work on as an OEM and all the OEMs. And it's been collaborative because I think we both win. Relevance on the track to what we do in the street is a winner for both of us and for our customers.
Any other questions? Well, if not, then the gentleman here on stage will be available for one-on-ones. I know there's some meetings coming up quickly, and we have some team members here too for photos. But thank you, and again, the press materials will be available at media.chevrolet.com. Thank you. Thanks.